Unanswered questions haunt a courtroom as Jennifer Soto's silence echoes.
She didn't send a statement. Absolutely, she did not send a statement. Was Stephanie Soto in the GoFundMe scheme? Well, listen, Roberta, I don't want to go around blaming people, but Stephanie Soto's name was in the GoFundMe and she collected it on behalf of Jen Soto. So I ask you, was Stephanie in the GoFundMe scheme? And why is she the one that made a statement in court while Jen was in the background on speakerphone? All right, let's keep going. Listen, here we go. Thank you to JLR. I was watching this. I wanted to see if Jen showed up. Worst mother, Jen Soto, guilty of neglecting Madeline Soto, neglecting her to death.
Ma'am, I know you were just doing your job. Ask a question. Is Jen Soto involved in any way? That's what everybody wants to know because he pled guilty. He pled no contest to murder. Is Jen Soto involved?
How you doing?
Can you just say no if she's not involved? Just say no.
And guys, I can't confidently say no. I'm going to lower this a little while he keeps badgering her. I cannot confidently say no. Now, the whole time, he's trying to...
Is Jen...
Hold on. While the whole time he's writing her, asking her about Maddie. Of course, she doesn't answer. I'm not surprised whatsoever. All right, let's listen a little bit, and then I'll tell you. This is what I watched, and I was livid at Jen Soto. She was fine with the pictures. None of this, Jen. Nancy Jean, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. Jen had only drive 4 miles to the court, yet all of the Wallace family drove 1,000 miles each way to search, attend the funeral, come back for the memorial, and then for the 1-year anniversary and the trial. All right, let that make sense about Jen Soto, a mother that fought for her rights when Maddie was little, to have the right to raise Maddie in Florida without Tyler. Make that make sense, that she kept Maddie away from Tyler. Make that make sense, that she got custody of Maddie only to hand over Maddie to Stefan. Stefan is not shy, and neither is Deb or Stefan to talk about Jen Soto. Where's Jen Soto? What part did Jen Soto play in it? Where was Jen Soto? Why didn't she say anything? Well, because she's the worst mother ever.
Soto involved? Is she being investigated?
Yeah.
Why no contest? Why not just, hey, I did the crime. I accept responsibility like he did with the other counts.
Yeah.
He did the other counts. But, you know, a lot of people are going to say Jen Soto's involved or someone else did it, not him, and he's just taking the rap. Can you comment on that at all? Is Jen Soto involved with the murder of Madeline?
And I want that to try to make sense of that, because no contest is taking responsibility for it only because he did not want the death penalty. That's the only reason. But there was enough evidence to say many things. And yes, Lisa, you're right. Maddie was a paycheck to Jen from little tiny until now. She was a paycheck. She didn't pay for flute or piano lessons more than once or twice, but she collected on it. The little bit of child support that Tyler could put together for her, she took advantage of. She didn't pay for babysitters. She had Stefan to loom over Maddie and abuse her. And then her family, the rest of the time, that would have supported her if she not handed Maddie to Stefan. Worst mother ever.
All right, so that is Stefan Stern's attorney. You decide. Is Jen Soto involved? Boots on the ground. JLR investigates. Like, no contest to the murder.
All right, let's go a little bit farther. I just wanted you to see
what happened here, how it affected her thoughts on her own daughter, anything, nothing, not a peep, zip,
nope,
silence. Nobody that spoke at court yesterday
mentioned
said anything about Jen Soto. None of the family members of Madeline. They didn't even say to the courts, oh, this has been bad for Jen, or poor Jen has to deal with, losing a child. Nothing. Worst mother ever. It all started
Right.
out.
And I can tell you that I don't have to have JLR yell at you, but what I did like was that he was in court, right? And I got to watch that. I got to watch people walk into court where Jen Soto wasn't. So I do like worst mother ever. Let's see what else he has to say.
For sentencing, which is required by Florida law. Hopefully,
Yeah,
Stearns doesn't use this error as grounds of appeal. And I went on and said defendants have a right to allocution before sentencing. Defendant can speak or not, then judge imposes sentence. That didn't happen yesterday. Judge didn't ask him if he had anything to say. After sentencing, I saw Stearns and attorney whispering. Then attorney asked judge if Stearns could speak, which he did. And he came with this blah, 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 blah nonsense, which everyone in the courtroom was just like, ugh, hurry up, more or less. But yeah, the judge didn't.
You know what else is interesting, guys? The whole time that we were bashing Tyler, people are still bashing Tyler, by the way, because they want somebody to blame. We didn't know that Tyler was planning on having Maddie come live with him at the age of 13. So for all of you that did bash him, just know that Maddie felt like she had a way out when she talked to Tyler, and Tyler said, sure, honey, you can come live with us, because Tatiana did love Maddie, I believe, more than Jen Soto did. Tatiana, if Tatiana broke your heart in court that day, Tatiana broke my heart at the vigil. She was the only one that spoke at the vigil in the family, and she was sobbing. Tyler was sobbing so much he couldn't even talk. Shame on Jen Soto. Shame on a lot of that family.
Ask him if he had anything to say, and by law, that is required before sentencing.
Of course they knew, but at any cost, Jen Soto didn't want Maddie to go because that was her paycheck. That's what was keeping Stefan around and coming back. Stefan didn't give two craps about Jen Soto. I'm sure he did, but not the way that he talks about disgustingly loving Maddie. You never once hear him say about Jen, I just love her so much. I want to make sure she's okay. Not once. Yeah, Jen Soto's a coward. She's evil, and she's the worst mother out there. And may she never get peace with what she did in this case.
So I wonder if Stearns is going to use that as grounds of appeal. Let's hope not.
I don't think so.
Let's hope he doesn't appeal.
The judge didn't ask him if he had anything to say.
All right, we got our own top. We don't need this. We have plenty to cover today. Plenty. So let me share my screen. We'll take a look and talk about why Jen was
Jennifer Soto, the mother of 13-year-old Madeline.
And why wasn't she at sentencing? Maybe Maddie was going to live with Tyler. With Tyler was Stearns' motive. She would tell her dad on him. Absolutely. Did anyone think of that? Did anybody think of that? Come on, Maddie was feeling good. Maddie was in school for a month, had a new crush. She was off of her medication. Stefan was not there, and she didn't want to go home. She did not want to go home that night or that week. She wanted to stay with Yolanda. Now, Stefan, do you feel like you're her favorite person in the world still? She didn't even want to be with you when she came back. She didn't want to come back. So when Jen Soto's disgraceful, Stefan Stearns says that he was her favorite person in the world. He says that with all confidence, multiple times. I do hope Tyler sues Potato, but he doesn't have the funds is the problem. I feel so bad about that. All right. She was stepping into her power and he couldn't handle it, and nobody talked about that. They just kept going back to Maddie being pregnant or whatever else. I don't think so. Well, we know so now, right? All right. I thought that too. I thought, oh no, Jen Soto's paycheck is gone and her leverage to keep Stefan coming back is over. No, it's not, Maddie. Jen didn't let that happen. Instead, they took Maddie's life. All right, let's talk about this. I'll try to get the questions. Hit that like button, y'all. Subscribe if you haven't. Get a membership if you can. There's 437 people in here. and I'd love to answer as many questions and backstory as I can tell you. Gringa, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hopefully Jen wasn't there because her lawyer thinks she might be charged. SS, coward, can't admit guilt to his parents, and he did not want his parents to have to see all of that CSAM. That's one thing I said to him is spare Maddie. Please spare Maddie from being further exploited or further victimized. All right. I haven't heard back from him since then. All right, let's keep going. Why wasn't Jen Soto at the sentencing, guys?
Soto noticeably absent from Stephen Stern's plea hearing.
Nothing.
And was Brian Koberger stalking those?
All right, we're not going to listen to that. Brian Koberger is
no contest to the homicide.
That Brian Koberger case, I got to say, is wild. The sentencing today, I loved it. I love that they shamed BK. We don't even want to say his name. Call him BK. All right. Cheryl says someone suggested the reason why she didn't speak or write a statement is because she's possibly going to be charged. And that's what we're going to talk about today. All right. If we're lucky, at some point we will see Jen Soto in shackles, handcuffed, in a courtroom. Let's go. Hello, Carol. Do you think Deb told Stefan to emphasize the God angle in his statement? No, I do not. I'm going to tell you right now, Carol, Stefan has seemed to found God now that he's in jail. But is that just Stefan or is that everybody? No. Deb did not do anything that Deb told him to do. All right. Now, she did emphasize some things to him, like we don't want to see those pictures in court, things like that. And you'll hear about that. I'll read that. But absolutely not. She's not an evil person. She was caught off guard too. And I don't think anyone should go after her for anything, especially after all this it's over. It's over.
That, of course, has the legal effect of a guilty plea, but Stearns was too much of a coward to say that he was guilty of Madeline's murder.
Yep.
And now that he's locked up for life.
But let me just tell you, he seemed very proud of the 60 counts that he did. He seemed like he stood up and said guilty, like he took ownership of what he did to Maddie. And that's disgusting. All right. Yes, he also saved the details from evil getting out to other prisoners. I agree. And I think he's very protective over Maddie. You remember, he wrote that love letter and he owned it. All right, back to Jen Soto, why she wasn't at sentencing. Why didn't she call 911? Why didn't she go to the vigil? Why didn't she go to the memorial? Why didn't she go to the other funerals? Why didn't she make a statement? Why didn't she make a statement over the phone when Stephanie was making one? Why didn't she point at Stefan and say, you motherfucker, you took my life from me? You guys tell me.
If the prison should throw away the key. I say let's forget all about that predator coward and let's focus on another coward, Jennifer Soto.
Yep.